Lesson 8.7 Video 2. So let's get into greater detail what the discriminant does for us. Now again, it's not going to tell us what the solutions are, but it's going to tell us how many there is going to be and what kind of solutions they would be, meaning real or imaginary. Now we have three examples here. And if we remember, it's always good to know what A, B, and C are. So in this case, A is equal to 1, B is equal to a negative 6, and C is equal to 8. The next one, we have A equal to 1, B is equal to 0, and C is equal to 0 because there are no terms there. And the last one, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, and C is equal to 2 as well. Now, once we know A, B, and C, we can go to our formula of the quadratic formula, pull out the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, that's the part inside the root, and we use those numbers to calculate, and we get this 4. Okay, on the second one, we plug in our A, B, and C, and we get a 0. And on our third one, we plug in our A, B, and C, and we get a negative 4. Now, what does that mean? Well, when we get a positive number, so for example right here, a positive number, whether it's rootable or not, makes no difference. It is positive. What that looks like on the graph is right here, which on the graph we notice two solutions. Two solutions, and in greater detail, two real solutions, because we can root for, even if it's not rootable, we can root 6, and our calculators won't kick out an error message. So when you have a positive discriminant, and this 4 is called the discriminant, that value, because it's positive, tells us that we will have two real solutions. And we can validate that by looking at the graph if we had it. If we have the discriminant calculate out to be 0, which is right here, we have one real solution. And why is that? Well, if you graphed it, it touches your x-axis at one place. Now, this should make a little sense because the root of 4 in this particular case, if we actually rooted it in the quadratic equation, it would say plus minus root whatever. Well, if we plug in a 4, we would get plus minus 2. And that gives us two answers because it's adding and subtracting in the quadratic formula. If we have a 0 in there, it says plus minus root 0. Well, root 0 is 0, so we're adding and subtracting nothing. So there is no two answer scenario. You only get one. So again, when you have a positive value, whether it's rootable or not, you have two real solutions. If you have 0 as a value, again, when you plug it in to b squared minus 4ac, a 0 gives you one real solution. The interesting part, though, is what if you have a negative in there? You get an error on your calculator. So the negative tells you that you will have two solutions because you're adding and subtracting an imaginary number, which we'll talk about in a minute. But there will be two imaginary solutions. And on a graph, it looks like this. No intersection points. Okay, so that's the visual part. It does not cross the x-axis, so there are no real solutions. But algebraically, we can continue on, and it would be considered two imaginary solutions. So again, if you have a positive value for a discriminant, rootable or not, you get two real solutions. If you get a 0 for the discriminant, you get one real solution. If you get a negative value inside the root, you will have two imaginary solutions. And this ends Lesson 8.7, Video 2.